Hello students, today I will be discussing purine biosynthesis. So it is a long reaction. There are 10 steps in this, so it is very difficult to remember. So I'll be discussing this with the help of mnemonic. And this is the first part. In the second part, I'll be discussing the regulation, salvage pathway and degradation of purines. So do watch my second part also in continuation with this. So first I'll be telling you about the digestion of nucleotides. As you all know, nucleotides are both taken in diet and are synthesized in the body. So dietary nucleotides are neither incorporated in nucleic acids nor used for any other purpose. So for its requirement, our body is dependent solely on the endogenously synthesized nucleotides. So how the nucleotides are synthesized endogenously, there are two pathways. One is the de novo pathway and second is the salvage pathway. So we'll be discussing this in detail. Then, as you all know, polynucleotidases hydrolyze large nucleotides into the mononucleotides. The nucleotides are hydrolyzed by nucleotidases and the phosphatases into nucleosides and phosphates. Then nucleosides are absorbed by intestinal mucosal cells where they are broken down to their final end products. So the end products are released into the circulation and are excreted in the urine. So this purine nucleotides are synthesized by most of the tissues, but the major site is the liver. So always remember this is the major site. This pathway operates in the cytoplasm. So major pathway is denoted as de novo synthesis. De novo, as the name suggests, purine ring is synthesized from different small components or small amphibolic intermediates. Since the human beings can synthesize the purine and pyrimidine bases de novo, they are said to be prototrophs. Now, as I told you that there are two pathways where via purines are synthesized endogenously. One is the de novo, other is the salvage pathway. So de novo, this name suggests synthesis from low molecular weight, synthesis of purine ring from low molecular weight precursors or amphibolic intermediates. And salvage pathway, as the name suggests, salvage means the bases or the nucleosides, we can say, that are derived from the degradation of nucleic acids or synthesis from nucleosides or bases that become available through the diet. Now the different sources of purine biosynthesis, this is very important. What are the different contributors of different atoms for purine biosynthesis? So isotopic labeling experiments were done on the pigeons and this led to the precursors. What all precursors are there? So in this, as you all know, this is purine is a double ring structure. So now start numbering from here. It is counterclockwise numbering in case of purine. So N1 is contributed by the amino group of aspartate, then C2C8 from formate of N10 formyl tetrahydrofolate, then N3 N9 from amide nitrogen of glutamine, then this C4 C5 and N7 by glycine, then C6 directly from CO2. So these are the different precursors you should know, because 2 marks or 3 marks question can be asked that what are the precursors of a purine ring, or it can be asked like this, what all amino acids are involved in the synthesis of a purine ring. So you should know this N1 from amino group of aspartate, C2C8 from formate. So if you read in the same order, it will be easier for you to remember, because N1 from amino group of aspartate, C2C8 from formate, then N3 N9 from amide nitrogen of glutamine, then C4 C5 and 7 contributed by glycine, C6 directly from CO2. So these are the contributors or different sources of purine biosynthesis. N1 derived from amino group of aspartate, then C2C8 from formate, N3, N9 from amide nitrogen of glutamine, then C4, C5 and N7 by glycine, and C6 directly from CO2. So now you can remember this. Then purine nucleotides are synthesized by many tissues as I told you, but the liver is the major site. Then brain and RBC cannot synthesize purines. They are synthesized via salvage pathway. So purines are not produced as free bases, rather they are formed as ribonucleotides. So now as we say that purine biosynthesis, but we are synthesizing a ribonucleotide. IMP we are synthesizing. Let's see how. The purines are synthesized piece by piece upon a pre-existing ribose 5-phosphate. So this is very important point, that when we compare both purine and pyrimidine biosynthesis, so in purine biosynthesis, whole of the purine ring is made on a ribose 5-phosphate moiety. So where from this ribose 5-phosphate is coming? It is from the HMP shunt. So this is the connecting link between the pentose phosphate pathway or HMP shunt and nucleotide metabolism. So this ribose 5-phosphate generated in the HMP shunt of carbohydrate metabolism is the starting material of purine biosynthesis. So this use of ribose links the pentose phosphate pathway to nucleotide metabolism. So this reaction is the connecting link between the HMP shunt and the nucleotide metabolism. In this we are synthesizing PRPP. So this is very important moiety. PRPP is phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate. So this is basically a donor of ribose 5-phosphate moiety. So this is synthesized, PRPP synthesized with the help of an enzyme PRPP synthetase. So always remember, we do not include this step in the de novo synthesis because PRPP is also utilized for the synthesis of pyrimidine nucleotides. Then various nucleotide coenzymes are also synthesized with PRPP, and also in the salvage pathway. So the step in which we are synthesizing PRPP is not included in the de novo synthesis. It is just the zero step or preliminary or the preparatory step, you can say. So whole of the purine ring built upon ribose 5-phosphate using PRPP. So this is the main difference, as I told you, that in case of purine biosynthesis, whole of the purine ring is built on this ribose 5-phosphate moiety, this one. And in case of pyrimidine biosynthesis, this ribose 5-phosphate moiety is incorporated after the formation of a pyrimidine ring. So this is the main difference between purine and pyrimidine biosynthesis. So it is the step 0 preparatory step because PRPP is basically the donor of ribose 5-phosphate moiety for the de novo synthesis, and this PRPP is also used for the synthesis of pyrimidine nucleotides, nucleotide coenzymes, and also for the salvage pathway. Hence, the synthesis of PRPP is not considered as a step in the de novo synthesis of purine nucleotides. It is called the preliminary or the preparatory step. So now this will be our first step. So there are 10 steps till the synthesis of IMP. So this is the first committed step and is also the rate limiting step in which we are utilizing this enzyme glutamine PRPP amidotransferase. So now we have started making this purine ring. So this is the first ring, this is the second ring. So first we are making this ring. Okay, so first glutamine is donating its amide nitrogen to PRPP, displacing its pyrophosphate moiety, and we are getting this molecule, that is phosphoribosylamine, PRA. Okay, you can see this on the ribose 5-phosphate moiety. This is N9, ये N9 है, this is N9. This structure is known as PRA, phosphoribosylamine. So this is the first step, this is the first committed step and the rate limiting step. The enzyme is glutamine PRPP amidotransferase. So this is very important. Now a series of reactions that follow construct the parent nucleotide IMP. So I was telling you that during the purine biosynthesis we are synthesizing a ribonucleotide, that is IMP. So some of these reactions are energy demanding. ATP is required at each of the synthetase and ring closure steps. So wherever we are using, so there are 10 steps starting from PRA, that is phosphoribosylamine. This is the first step. So there are 10 steps, and wherever we are using this enzyme synthetase, we need ATP, and there are 2 ring closure steps. So in those steps also we need ATP. ATP is required because there are 2 rings, first ring and the second ring. So then in the second step, addition of glycine. So what I told you, that this C4, C5 and N7, this is contributed by the glycine. So now again and again we will not make this ribose 5 phosphate moiety. We will start making this purine ring. Okay, so N, this is contributed by glutamine. Then in the second reaction, in presence of an GAR synthetase enzyme. So again, as I told you, we are using GAR, that is glycinamide ribonucleotide synthetase. We are using synthetase enzyme, so we need ATP in this reaction. So from PRA to GAR, glycinamide ribonucleotide, this 4, 5 and N7 is contributed by this glycine. So this is the second ring we are making first. So now formylation is taking place. So what are the contributors of this formyl group is, you can see here C2 and C8. This is contributed by formate. Okay, so now as we are making this ring, second ring, so this is C8 we are making now. This is the third step in which formylation is taking place in presence of an enzyme GAR transformylase. You can see this GAR to FGAR. Only thing, we are adding formyl here. This formyl N10 formyl tetrahydrofolate is donating its formyl group to GAR, that is glycinamide ribonucleotide, and we get FGAR, that is formyl glycinamide ribonucleotide. Now you can see here, this is now looking like a second ring, and now after this FGAR to FGAM. This is FGAR, formylation is taking place and FGAR is formed. Then glutamine. So, and this one, FGAM is now in the fourth step in presence of enzyme FGAS, we are synthesizing this N3. Okay, so this is FGAM, that is formyl glycinamide ribonucleotide. Now FGAR is formyl glycinamide ribonucleotide. Then after the addition of glutamine, so we don't want glutamine, we only want the amide nitrogen. So this glutamine donates its amide FGAR to form FGM. FGM is formyl glycinamide ribomydine. Okay, this is mide and this is mydine. Okay, you can see here this N, this is contributed by this glutamine. Then so as we are using this enzyme synthetase, so ATP is required in this reaction. Then next is the imidazole ring closure. So now we have all these contributors with us. Now there is a time for the ring closure. Now we have to close this second ring because all contributors have contributed. So now we need to close this ring. So as I told you that whenever the closure step, again ATP is required. So FGAM is converted to AIR. Okay, in presence of an enzyme AIR synthetase. So imidazole ring of purine is then dependent reaction to form AIR, that is amino-imidazole ribonucleotide. So this is the fifth step. Again in this also ATP is required. Now we will start making this ring. Okay, so this we have made, this nitrogen we already have. Now aspartate addition is taking place in this reaction, in the seventh reaction, and the Enzyme is SAICAR, that is succinyloaminoimidazole carboxamide ribonucleotide synthetase. So again synthetase, we need ATP. So this is CAIR, okay? CAIR to this one. Sorry, this I think we have missed. This AIR we have made. AIR is the ring closure step. After AIR, now AIR with the help of this enzyme AIR carboxylase. This is the structure of AIR. AIR is the ring closure. This is the second ring we have already formed, and this is this we have made on this ribose 5-phosphate moiety. AIR is aminoimidazole ribonucleotide. Okay. Instead of this ribosyl 5-phosphate, you can also say it is a ribonucleotide, because everywhere we can remain same. So it's pronounced as ribonucleotide. So this, now we are making this C6. So carbon is in this reaction, CO2 is added, and we are adding CO2 here. So now the structure is CAIR. CAIR is carboxyimidazole ribonucleotide. Okay, so the difference, you have read that there are two types of carboxylation reaction. One is biotin dependent and other is biotin independent. So over here it is biotin independent. So neither we need ATP for this or biotin. So this carboxylation, this is an exception. Over here in this purine biosynthesis, carboxylation is biotin independent. So we do not need ATP in this, nor we need this biotin for this reaction. So now from CAIR to SAICR, so in this we are adding aspartate. Okay, till here we have already made. This is the first ring we are making now. So CAIR to SAICR, that is SAICR synthetase in the presence of this enzyme. As it is synthetase, so ATP is required for this reaction. But we do not want this whole aspartate. We are only interested in this amino group of aspartate. Okay, so in this next reaction, we will substrate fumarate in presence of an enzyme adenylosuccinate lyase. So this is whole aspartate. If we will subtract fumarate from this, we will get this structure, that is AI from SAICAR, that is succinyloaminoimidazole carboxamide ribonucleotide. We get AICAR, you can see here, SAICAR to AICAR. So it will be easier for you to learn like this with the short forms. So after the fumarate reduction or subtraction in the presence of an enzyme adenylosuccinate lyase, we get AICAR, that is aminoimidazole carboxamide ribonucleotide. Now again this last one is remaining, that is formylation is taking place in this reaction in the presence of an enzyme formyl transferase. So the last purine ring carbon is added as a formyl group from N10 formyl tetrahydrofolate by formyl transferase to FAICAR. So from AICAR to the FAICAR. So this is donating its from this AICAR to form FAICAR. Now again there is a ring closure step after this. So FAICAR is finally converted to IMP. IMP in presence of an IMP cyclohydrolase enzyme. So in the final step, IMP cyclohydrolase catalyzes closure of the second purine ring to form IMP. So you can see it is IMP, which is formed on the ribose 5-phosphate moiety. Now till here we will end this. Again in this ATP is required. This is the ring closure step. Now in the second part you will see that we do not need IMP, we want AMP and GMP, because we are interested in making adenosine mono AMP, ADP and ATP, and GMP, GDP and GTP, because we want all these ribonucleotides for the synthesis of RNA. So in the second part I'll be discussing all these details. I'll be discussing the regulation of purine biosynthesis, then also the salvage pathway and the degradation. So do watch my second video also after this. Thank you.